and start the recording on this one just because I want to see how long it is actually going to go. Eliana, was it?
Yeah.
You seemed very excited about this one. So I'm going to have you take this one from me, and I'm going to show you more about that at our next location.
Thank you.
So let's get the accompanying device ready for that one, just because I want to make sure that one goes to the right person. This is the neuralizer for Men in Black. Nobody's going to remember anything by the time we're done. We're working with lasers.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Great stuff, right?
Yeah.
They break the plane.
The gist of the lasers is so that we can capture motion with the Phasm camera that I just handed over to Eliana.
Hey, those connects on Xbox is always pick those up too because they have the same age.
Exactly. So the gist of this is so that we can actually see the lasers through the camera. Now these things light up like a Christmas tree through that camera.
Yeah.
So we have the green one, and then we have this red one. The red one gives us red squares. Why do I want red squares too? In the event we actually capture something right here, I want to be able to take the still shot from that video and put it in 3D software and give you a full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. So again, I've had this for about a year now. The software so far hasn't been able to take anything that we've caught, but who knows? Maybe tonight is our night. We just never know. So lasers always stay on the ground. So you're gonna. This one actually has a dot, like a button on the side. You'll have to hold to keep it on. And then this one obviously has a toggle switch. I can release my hand from it. So we always want to keep them on the ground, just because there is a laser law in Charleston. And you want to keep them just in front of you, so basically the edge of it should touch your toe, like no further out than that. And I'll show you too more about how to work together with this at our first location. You get both of those. Lucky you. No pressure.
Teamwork. Let's fucking go.
There's the switch. But the light's right there, right? So point it down. Point this one down. Oh, that's the light.
Let's get into spirit boxes. We're going to be using several tonight.
Oh, that's the
When I say several, I mean 5.
Oh shit.
There's a lot of spirit boxes. So spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. So in essence, this one is going to sweep through the FM radio stations. Basically like your TV shows give you the white noise, and then Zach Bagans throws you the bullshitty things you heard in the middle of it. Trying to convince you of the same thing. We're going to be doing that in real time. Only these are set up a little bit different. It's not just going to be white noise. I slowed it down so the radio chatter actually comes through. I want the song lyrics, the DJs, the commercials to be able to come through. Getting those anomalies that you guys hear on TV are a rarity. I only capture about 4 to 6 of those per year where I can actually prove that it's a Class A EVP. Using radio stations to convey messages is another method. So it is a 50-50 shot that if we can make out what's coming out of this guy, that I could tie to the location, where we are, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of you. So it happens all the time. This one is going to record the entire session for us. That's the cool thing. The other cool thing is that the 2 people I have 2 of these I'm going to be handing out. This is going to be the only one that records, but the person that's going to be using it is going to have an earbud in. They're going to be the only person to hear it in real time. So I'll be taking notes of whatever they hear in real time to put in your notes for tomorrow morning, on top of my spot check when I go through this guy to give you 15 to 25 more markers. Those 15 to 25 more markers, some of them might be relevant, some of them might not be. In the event that it's relevant, I will tell you why it's relevant based on the location of where we are, plus a link to be able to verify the information. So again, these are going to be very specific things. We're going to talk more about that at our first location. So, and very quiet over there. So I think I'm going to hand this one off to you. You're going to have to undo the little twist tie for the earbuds, and then there's a volume button right here. It's a wheel. So it's right on my finger. You'll have to control the volume at your own will. And again, you can't mess up the recording.
No, we have a
because
laser.
it's already recording at an even keel, and I don't want earbuds
My
back.
only job is to keep them on the ground. And somehow it has something to do with that camera.
This one.
Yeah. So it's infrared, and with the lasers, we should be able to see
Again,
some
I have
shadows
2 of these, so I'm going to be handing out both of them. Obviously, this one will not record. We're only going to give you back 1 recorded session. So with that, Miss April, you're going to get the other one.
Okay.
Your volume wheel is right here. It's a wheel, not the button. And then, of course, I don't want the earbuds back in case you didn't hear me tell me. All right, there you go. That one's easy enough. Let's see. You looked very intrigued by spirit boxes, so I'm giving you an upgrade. So this upgrade is also something relatively new that I've been experimenting with. So this one is an SB11. So what does that mean for you? It's going to sweep through both FM and AM radio stations at the same time. It's going to attempt to take out the white noise in between. So as it's going through, I have no idea what's happening, so I'm going to reset it.
There's a
Never
marching
heard
band.
that. Like that before?
I didn't hear nothing.
There we go. The only thing you have to worry about is the mute button. It's on the right-hand side. It's the only button there. I'm going to mute it for now until we get to that first stop, and then we'll talk more about it. But again, you're going to be listening for any words that are going to
We
come
don't have
out.
to do anything while I walk away. Just when we get to the stop.
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Well, you're constant. Push the favorite channel.
The last spirit box. This one's going to be open air. So Heckler, this one's going to go to you, sir. It's going to work the exact same way, only it doesn't have an earbud. So you're going to have to basically control the volume. I will ask you to turn it up and down based on some of our locations. Your volume button is on the side of the ball speaker, so obviously this will be top up where you can see the screen. You hold this little slider down to get the volume to go down. You push it up to get it to go up. It's not in. So right now I have it down, but go ahead and play with that for a minute just so you get the gist of how it works.
Play with my balls in the air.
Play with the ball. Got it. Notice they use singular. Oh, I can throw Heckler's back. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to flash there.
She charges for
Ooh.
pictures for
Is that an EMF detector?
A what?
EMF detector?
EMF meters.
Yeah.
These are pretty much a must-have
Yep.
whenever we're using any kind of, going through a paranormal investigation. So you guys have probably seen these on television. These ones are the pretty basic ones. This is a newer upgrade. It makes a small buzzing sound that we can't even hear outdoors. It wasn't less than $10 for sure. But I had to upgrade the new one because some little kid dropped mine last week and I had to get a brand new one.
Kids
And when I
suck.
say dropped it was about 20 times. So,
Yep.
no harm, no foul, right? So, but that's the whole point, is that we actually get to, upgrade everything. So with this particular guy, it's what I use to debunk a lot of things. So again, when I see this thing going off, I want to know what color it is. I already have the colors memorized, of what the actual measurement is. So all we need to know is where the measurement is, so I can measure it against another one that's a little bit more accurate. We're going to use this to debunk things a lot first ahead of
That
time.
little tuning
So-
thing we used that one
Oh, the
time.
dowsing
You
rods.
understand.
Dowsing.
That way, she kind of knows where to stop and listen, and you guys can actually both listen in on that together because it is open air. The next one is a lot more accurate. It's a digital format. It actually has 3 different functions. So the top one is going to be the same type of EMF. So basically any of the numbers you see here, anything above 2.5, I want to know what's going on. The reason I'm handing this one off to you is because it has ambient temperature. If you find something on his camera, you and I can debunk it pretty quickly. So the last thing that it has a REM pod built into it. If something gets close to that antenna that I just pulled out, it's going to go off. The closer it gets, the higher the pitch. There are colors in there, which you and I will talk about at our first and second location. So again, for now, I just need you to focus on those 2 numbers on the screen.
There's a good chance I'm going to follow my
think I
ass when
forgot
I go
about
down this hill right now. Because my shoes are like wax paper.
Yeah.
You're going to get a spirit box as well, but it works completely different than any other one
I'm
we
going to
have.
take one big lead.
So the last but not least, this one is going to give us a set of words in the middle of the screen.
Oh,
from time
those
to
are the
time.
best.
So this is kind of like an obulus of what you guys
Yeah,
see on television.
Those are the best.
So an obulus, just so everybody knows why I use this one versus an actual obulus. An obulus, first off, are very hard to come by. Second, it only has 2,048 terms in it. This has 9,168. It has obviously quite a bit more. 80% of this is bullshit. We're just going to put it right out there. It's the other 5 to 20% that's going to come out of this that's going to be very specific to our location, a person in history, something going on with one of us. It's going to save all of those words to a list with timestamps. That helps direct me on where to listen to your recordings or watch video. So again, I'm going to clear out last night's tour. They had 73 terms. That's been about the average lately, between 70 and 80. So we'll see what we get out of this. We already got the word senator. I'm going to tell you that that's already relevant to a story 1 block away from here. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited already. This is good stuff.
We'll have 103.
103.
Terms.
Oh, okay. Are you going to call it right now?
Prediction.
All right.
Are
we'll
you
go with
starting
that.
a pool?
So I don't want to see every term
So
that pops up.
82.
Otherwise, we're going to be out here till like 4 in the morning. So I will come to you when I want to see the list, and that way I'll show you how to get to it and that kind of thing. So I'm going to hand that one off to you.
Those are the bomb.
Yeah, this is so cool.
Remember we had them on our
Our
phones?
This is
It goes right
normally
up
where I
against the
joke
van.
around and say, go have fun, guys, and let me know what happens. But with 2 hecklers in the group, that's not going to happen tonight.
We'll have too much.
But you did make my bag very, very much clearer.
You're welcome.
So that's greatly
I'm
appreciated.
gonna go fuck around on this one.
So, let's talk about why we started here. Any comment, well, I guess any concerns before we really start breaking into this?
Nope.
Okay, good. You guys are going to make me talk tonight for sure, I can tell. But it is my job to talk, I promise you. So, with that said, let's talk about why we started here. Big John's Tavern behind me. Used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. Imagine that, he named it after himself. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Whenever I'm giving you the history of a location, I will always slow down on keywords specified for those of you with spirit boxes. The reason being is because those are the common terms that I hear when I'm out here. If you remember, I'm out here 7 nights a week. Like, I'm always busy. But with that said, Big John used to sit in the back of this bar and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. He has a bartender angry. Yeah, you might want to watch your laser. They leave pretty angry and come back the next night and try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. Notice I said the word try. John sees what's going on, he slams down his beer, he gets up and starts beating the hell out of these guys, just starts pounding them right into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck and the bullet lands behind him in the wall. John gets up after being shot and he goes back to the bartender and tells him, get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor, an ambulance. So, where's the irony in this story? The irony is that nobody died in that story. I told you this place is haunted, but everybody thinks that some kind of death actually occurred here. This is Big John's place. Even if the new Big Johns that we are now looking at filled in that bullet hole, Big John's blood is still here. People that sit here in the front tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is kind of your, heated warning. Anybody feels any of those symptoms tonight, I need to know immediately, so that way we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. I won't say that I haven't had to call the paramedics, EMTs in the past. So again, that's the scariest thing I'm probably going to tell you all night long. So let's move on, shall we? All right. With that said, have you guys taken any other kind of Charleston history tours at all? Nope. Yeah. No? Nothing? Wow. I can lie to you guys all night long, right?
All night.
No, so I know some history of Charleston. Like, I went to high school in South Carolina. Middle school and high school in South Carolina, so.
We had a big earthquake here in 1886. I asked you about the history tours is because every tour guide talks about that earthquake because we're in South Carolina. We're not supposed to have them. The building behind me, Big John's, is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantling you see in the middle of the building behind me also wraps around the front on the very busy East Bay Street side. So a piece of that broke off, struck somebody in the back of the head, and they say it killed him, and you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. I say apparently and allegedly a lot with that story because I have no proof. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour, like I just brought up again. So, is everybody ready to go ghost hunting? I gotta get you 2 to talk. You guys are way too quiet over there. All right, we're gonna head up this way.
No, I don't. We had so much fun with that thing though.
This won't be as fun as the one in Vegas unless we're out till 5:30 in the morning.
I think we get tacos.
So, I want everybody to kind of think of your time with me tonight as kind of a ghost hunting 101. We're going to keep leveling up as we get through the night. By the last location, you'll all know exactly what to be looking for on your devices. So, just noticed one set of lights was on. So, this place is going to be super simple. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. Again, it's so I can show 10 people how to use 10 different devices. This is the big red barn lot. This is where we keep the horses for your paradrides. So again, no lasers on that building, and we won't want to keep the open air spirit boxes too noisy. So we're just going to keep them kind of like right where they're at right now because we're not going to spend a lot of time here. The history here is super simple, and I did it that way on purpose so I can show you more about your devices. This is the same big red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. So let's talk about those spirit boxes. There's plenty of them out there tonight. This is not a Ouija board, this is not television, this is not YouTube, this is not, is somebody here? Because everybody wants to ask that question. If somebody says no, that means somebody's here. We are not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. Some of these spaces I'll be giving you impromptu questions that you can use that I commonly get answers for. If you decide that you want to start going rogue and asking your own questions in the spaces, by all means, just make sure they're not yes or no questions and it's something we can actually prove. In a space like this, I would normally tell my Spirit Box teams, you're going to ask questions that you already know the answers to, just so you get used to listening and looking for your Spirit Boxes. So basically, what I mean by that is, if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is, right? Obviously, we're going to be looking and listening for the color red. When I say listening, it's going to be based on the messages being conveyed by DJs and song lyrics. But the word red might not be available to them right away, and somebody really wants to get a message through to us and answer our question. Fire truck, blood, heart. Those three things are specifically red. So again, I would take that as an acceptable answer. What color is the big red barn? Blood. I'm good with that. However, most of the night I'm going to require to verify what's actually happening, two things to be going off or to answer each other to verify what's happening. For example, Daniel, was it?
Yeah.
Let's say Daniel's word list actually has the word art on it. Probably doesn't right now. And then Tina, here's the number 40, okay? Neither one of those terms mean anything by themselves, but Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. So see how we have to put things together? It's all about matching up the clues and what's actually going to make sense. So again, a lot of these people we're going to be discussing tonight are from the 17 and 1800s. A lot of them have the same damn names, Charleses and Georges. I mean, we need to know who the hell we're talking to. So again, that's why we always look for those secondary clues. So I think the Spirit Boxes have a pretty good gist on what they're going to be listening and looking for tonight and how to use them. Let's talk about these two cameras. I'm already forgetting your name because you're just heckler in my mind. Tom. I'll get it.
17th century.
So let's say, well, we're going to talk about your camera next. You're going to try to do two different things for us, Tom. You're going to try to keep one of us in view. The reason why is because we're going to be the warmest thing out here. So it's going to give you the array of color on the screen. It's going to be much easier to find cold spots if we have an array of color.
Right.
So the other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view. The reason being is because that blue dot defaults to the sky because there's no surface. It's looking for a surface, and it's obviously colder up in the sky. So again, some of those spaces might be impossible. Do your best. But it seems like you already got pretty good gist on that. Where's my other camera? Oh yeah, that's right. Like, hang on. So the two of you are going to be working together. So yours is already recording, and I want to see how long it's actually going to go for. So again, I'll kind of help you with the starts and stops on yours. Normally I wouldn't have started it the old version by now because it would have already locked up on it 20 times. But let's go ahead and shine down one of those lasers for me, Mollie.
Great.
All right, so I don't want you looking down at it. I want you to take 2 to 3 steps backwards. Perfect, right there. You're looking for things right here. We already know what the squares look like. So we're looking for something to go through very quickly. So basically, I mean, you're perfect. It's right on your toes. You know, you're keeping it in control. So basically, the slower the two of you move together, the easier it's going to be to actually capture something actually going through it. So that way we can actually get the still and be able to hopefully measure whatever we've caught through the red one. The green one doesn't give me that option, but it is still super cool when things pass through it. So that's how the two of you are going to work together. So again, yours nice and tight, close to your feet, and you're going to be anywhere between 2 to 5 feet away, capturing the full grid, which is in between, obviously, the grid, marker, so her hand, all the way to the ground. So that's basically how the two of you are going to be working together. And there are 10 IR lights on that thing, so the whole screen should be purple, just so you know.
Nice.
All right. Any EMF readings coming up out of yours? Nothing at all.
Isaac's got his point
0.3. All right, absolutely nothing. I'm going to call this a dead zone. I say we go deep dive into history much more than ponies and football players. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Oh, before we move on, both of you with cameras, some of these spaces are going to have parked cars in them, and people don't like to be filmed either. If I do kind of an Andy's coming, act casual kind of thing, you're basically going to be playing with a cell phone, much easier to hide.
Selfie stick?
You're going to be pointing it at the ground.
Okay.
So again, the next space we go to is definitely going to have some cars parked in it. I can almost guarantee you that. So again, if people are going to their vehicles, obviously I'll do an Andy's coming or let's act casual kind of mentality with the video cameras. Everybody else, we're going to be fair game. So let's go see what we can find at the next spot. Let's do this. Let's deep dive a little bit. Teach the screen. Tell you about the new camera. Can we tell?
We're going to score something tonight.
Oh, hell yeah, we are.
When we were walking out here, we had some random ass cat from the alley come out and try and get pets.
Oh.
It wanted love. I think it was trying to show us where its kitten was because it had like a poopa.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, they kept running over, meowing at us, and then it would run away.
She would have died. Oh my god.
And it was
I
like
love
really
cats.
soft, and it was a little,
A little bangle.
well,
Oh.
not a bangle. It's that standard tabby that's like brown, but it's got all the stripes that are mixed in multicolored.
Yeah. A little, tortie. Tortie?
Not a tortie, because torties are like
stripes.
black. And
Oh, okay,
they
so
look
the
like
stripes.
brown,
Like Buzz.
The colors.
Yeah.
They always have like cream colored bellies, and then they have like the dark down their back, and then the stripes.
Yeah.
Kind of like almost like brindle.
We have
Okay, yeah.
Like that. We just call it, that's a Buzz cat.
Yeah.
That's our
It's called black cats.
Well, Daniel, anything come up on your word list lately?
Tina.
Tina came up already?
Yeah.
Oh my
There's a
god.
little white box next to the word that looks like a scroll.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tap it. And you'll be able to scroll through those words. What were like the last 3 to 4 words that came up?
Reduce, Tina, place.
Okay, irrelevant. Except for your name. Of course. So, we'll kind of see if you brought something which happens. So, welcome to another beautiful site of Charleston, everybody. Here in a parking lot. This place used to be something. Of course, that's why we're here. So this place used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. So their mansion actually sat in the front of this lot facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So, first off, Spirit Box teams, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did with the red barn over there. You will get the answers from your Spirit Boxes. I will withhold information on purpose so that you all have a genuine experience. So, let's get into it. Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. You guys all know why I need those secondary clues. So, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us, but I hate politics more than you. Let's move on. So, I know, everybody kind of chuckles at that, except for tonight. 4.8. Remember that number? I will definitely write it down when I'm done giving the history. It is still on mute. We're going to keep it on mute for just another minute. So, Eliza and Charles got married at a young age. So I'm not going to tell you how old Eliza was, but I will tell you it was according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, obviously it's going to be according to today's standards, not 12 and 14 years old. So the reason I bring this up is because, keep those numbers in mind, I got to write them all down. So Charles was over double her age when they married. So that was a pretty big deal back then. You might get, either number of how old they were when they got married. But anyway, she married him because her father over in England thought he was dying. And he wanted to see all of his children one last time. She didn't think he was dying, so she stayed put. This is 1744. There's no such thing as marrying for a green card or citizenship because we're not even a country yet. Now, she was right. Dad got better. That means Dad starts sending her apologetic gifts from England to this space. One of those things happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes her blue jeans blue. You're the only one with it on tonight. So that's how we still use it today. When she got these seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. So she had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated, experimented with it here, moved it to a plantation just north of here in Mount Pleasant, calls her father and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. So, that's Eliza's business. Let's get into the weird shit, because that's why you guys are all here. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back-to-back, same year. So, with that said, the first wife, Eliza, passed away. 5 months later, he marries this Eliza. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. You can ask which Eliza we're talking to by asking her maiden name. Let's see, the mansion's not here anymore. You can ask what happened to it, obviously. If you get an answer, then you can ask what year did that happen in. So, again, it's going to be very specific as far as that year goes. As far as the children, this is where I'm going to ask you to tread a little bit lighter. Ask how many children she had. You already know she had at least one. His name was Charles, right? Signer of the Constitution. But there are more. Ask how many and what their names are. That's pretty much it. Reason being is because there was a tragedy among those children. If you poke the bear too much, all activity will stop. And we haven't seen any EMF readings yet other than the millimeter, which is the more accurate one. So I always watch this when we first get here.
You mentioned children.
I got a 10.3.
Nice.
Ooh.
So again, all of those EMF readings will stop if we poke that bear too hard, and I'll pretty much know somebody was poking the bear too hard. As far as Eliza's death, that's where she's completely wide open. You can ask her basically anything you want to. How old she was when she died, where she died from, where she's buried, and what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral.
Wow.
Like, these are all very specific questions. So I also have something else new going with the new SP11 that I like to try out in this space only, and you're going to see why. It's a trigger object. So basically, a trigger object is designed or obtained to try to stir up a little bit more activity. So, hard to pass. So I have here a small vial of indigo seeds. So these are the actual type of seeds that actually make blue dye. They took like 6 weeks to come in, so you're going to carry that around with you in hopes that it's going to stir up some activity to be able to come out of your spirit box. It's been most active with that specific spirit box so far, so we'll kind of see what happens with that. So we are going to be spreading out inside this lot. We're not going to go in between cars, that kind of thing. We're not going to go in front of cars. And obviously this is the only entrance and exit where we came in for vehicles to come in and out. So just be aware of your surroundings. We will spend anywhere between 8 to 12 minutes here depending on how much activity is actually going on. And we'll be bouncing around with each set of you, writing down notes of things that are going on. Keep in mind, spirit box teams, that when you're asking questions, those answers can go anywhere. I have an audio, we have 2 video cameras that have audio, and 5 spirit boxes. There's a lot that those answers can go to. That's why I bounce around with all of you. This is why I love these large groups, because I literally have everything I've got for them to be able to communicate back to us. So I got to work with you first anyway to show you how to use that REM pod. So we're going to talk about those numbers first, but everybody else, feel free to turn up those spirit boxes. Let's spread out. And Eliana, you're already recording, so you're good to go.
Which way do you
you're
want to
going to come
go?
back with me so I can show you how to use that and give me the numbers you've already heard.
Let's this car's pulling out, and then let's go to
Go
the.
where it's dark.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Let's go to the dark corners. Over here, by the
The
dumpster.
highest was a, what was it, a 17?
You gotta turn your lights around, Mom.
Oh, but you don't have to stay still for
No, you could. Hold on, okay. We can start asking questions. If there's a spirit here who would like to show themselves, can you walk in front of the red light, please? Yeah. Here, let's keep going where it's dark.
What?
Let's keep going in the dark. Oh, this is maybe a good flat surface.
Okay, right up here.
Yeah. That light is fine. If there are any spirits here who would like to communicate with us, please walk in front of the red light so we know you're here.
Let's turn around and see how that, so it's not narrow.
Perfect. I feel like outside is hard.
I think he also said he had had 0 results with this one.
No, he said on the IR camera he's gotten stuff every night, yeah.
But nothing with these laser company.
I don't know. I feel like the lens is smudged. See? I've been trying
What is
to.
that cloud? Is that a bug?
Was that a light? Oh, probably a bug. I was like, holy shit! I don't know.
Just to keep it on the...
I don't know. Lasers, I know. I'm trying to clean it, but I feel like it's okay. If there's a spirit here who would like us to leave and try to stop communicating, would you walk in front of the red light, please, on the ground?
Which Eliza were you? Eliza 1 or Eliza 2? Which one did he
That's
like
cold.
better?
That's cold. You can't do that.
How old was she, I wonder?
I don't know.
He was almost twice her age.
Yeah,
Figure she was 14, he was 28.
probably. She might have been probably like 15 and 30 maybe. Were you like 15 years old when you got married? If yes, please go in front of the red light.
Is that audio and video recording?
I think so. GoPro usually does. I don't think it has the best audio, but from what I can remember.
You can modify your GoPro.
That'd be so cool.
I remember
I'll
when we
figure
were
out
in
how to
Vegas
use
and
it.
they shined this thread up on the wall.
Yeah. That's cool. Whoever's here, are you upset that they tore down the mansion or that it was destroyed?
Are you happy here?
If someone's here, now's your time to show us. Please walk in front of the red grid and walk towards me. Because now this means I'm going to have to walk alone the whole night, you know.
What?
I said holding this means that I'm going to have to, like, walk, like, a little bit out from the group.
We can't, like,
I can't walk. I can't walk. You know, this just scares me. That's good.
He told me I can't look down at the laser. So how am I going to see something?
No, you can look down at the... I can't look down at the laser. The camera, like, I can't, like, point it down. I have to kind of see.
Laser.
Well, it's because I was pointing the camera down.
Okay. Ugh.
You're going to keep walking to another space?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, you don't. No, we can walk, I think.
I feel like the closer we get to the house, right? Are we in the garden? We're in the dark. Eliana, if something broke the plane of this thing, I would probably jump. I would probably jump 10 feet.
I'd freak the fuck
I
out.
would too.
Oh, it would be amazing. Okay. That'd be so sick, though. It'll happen tonight. Is there somebody here who would like to communicate with us? We could see if other people are getting any good readings or activities. Are y'all getting anything good? Okay.
Anywhere in particular?
Mostly over here. Honestly, it jumped the highest when he was talking. History.
Gotcha.
What Eliza?
History buffs being part of history.
Yeah. They actually died in like 1998. They just really like the history.
They really like the history.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They hang out just for social studies.
Yeah, right. Shit, that's what I would do.
Social studies major.
Yeah.
I love my social studies teacher. Every time we started class, he was really drunk so he could pass out right around our period.
Oh, nice.
And then you tell us about his days when he was a Hell's Angel.
I never get that lucky.
My senior year of high school, our social studies teacher, he would like show up and be like, all right, y'all, I'm gonna go make my coffee, and then he'd leave for like 20 minutes.
So,
Just leave like some notes on the board.
My drill instructor, when I was in basic training, was trying to study for his master's, so half of our basic training, he wasn't there. So we just like
take care of yourself.
Yeah, we policed ourselves
Yeah.
and did our own stuff, did
It's
our own
okay.
marches and drills.
Right?
And then
Oh.
What's happening?
The REM pod's going off, which means something's touching the
Maybe,
antenna. Here's some of
maybe
your...
we're not paying enough attention, right? Okay, sorry, Eliza.
Sorry, we're not paying attention.
Sorry.
Wow.
Maybe
She's
this
like,
really
that's her FU.
likes our story about the
Okay.
Yeah.
military and
Okay.
all that.
All right, I'm sorry, Eliza. If that's you, can you touch it again?
All
Can you
about
make
you.
it? Can you make it go to the blue light?
Oh.
Can you make it go to the blue light?
I see yellow.
That was yellow. Can you make it go to the blue light? You have to touch it. You have to be closer to it to make it go to the blue.
I thought she just comes out and dances around in this little laser beam for a little while.
Yeah, if you want, we can actually see if you walk in between that laser and the
We'd love
ground.
to see you.
That'd be
I know
super
you're
cool.
Beautiful. I want to see you.
Yeah, if you want to
Come
show
out.
yourself.
And I promise the lights and stuff aren't going to hurt you. It's just so we know that you're here.
It makes it easier to talk to you.
See, I can touch this and it's not going to hurt
Yeah.
me. Okay, so if you touch it, we know you're here.
Are you still with us?
I could decide to go for a walk if you don't want to walk.
I mean, if you want to go past some of the other groups, we have two
Oh,
up and
wait,
three
did it
other
just flash
groups.
blue?
The blue. Thank you.
Yeah, do you want to make it the color of your seats?
What color that is?
I thought
Blue
it
for
was.
What
indigo.
that was?
Ooh, yeah.
Make it blue for indigo.
What do we got going on? And everybody's huddled up.
Yeah.
We've been asking some questions and
What do we get?
It went solid for a minute.
This part hasn't changed, but it's went up to blue for a second.
Okay.
Also, we kind of started talking about other stuff, and I think she got really mad.
because we got
Maybe
distracted.
she was just happy that we weren't talking about her. She was like,
Yeah,
"Nothing to
true.
focus on, I'm excited to hang out."
I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah,
So we
'cause
started
her-
asking.
Her light just stayed solid for like a second. Like
I thought it was because I was moving, but I was standing here. I reset it, and then it did it again, solid green versus the blue.
Okay.
Yeah, just standing there.
Yeah.
And with your guys' ordeal, like your setup, this isn't always an in-the-moment catch. Like, we don't always capture something
Yeah.
passing through it. Unfortunately, this is one of those instances where it's fun to use and obviously fun to watch, but that small screen, it makes things very difficult to see in real time.
1921.
Oh, shit.
see,
19.7.
She's very upset.
Yeah. We're here to talk to you, so
Reset for me?
if you'd like to show yourself even more, you could go between that black device and the red light on the ground. We have all these lights for you to touch.
I love this spirit. I love this spirit.
Anything popping up on your stop?
No. Everything stayed pretty consistent.
That's another instance where it's the review the next day where I caught most of the actual evidence that came out of that camera.
Yeah. And we're outside too, so it's a lot of
That's
background work.
Yeah, definitely reset. Any other terms come up? Palestinian.
What is it?
Understand
Palestinian?
the word Palestinian.
Well,
It's oddly specific.
It is.
yeah.
Usually when something like that pops up, it's usually relevant to somebody on my current tour or the next one. I often get the names of people for my next tour as well.
Oh.
Like it's the weirdest thing between
That's so
nationalities and
strange.
actual names. And when I'm not, it's not like Tom or John. It's like I'll get the name Tina or Annie. Like just showed up the other night and I had an Annie on my tour last night. So it wasn't Ann, it was Annie, Annie. So it was very specific.
That's very specific.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, that word list, I love using it because you just never know what's going to pop up out of it. Heard anything out of there yet? We'll take it. You heard something.
I think the lens is a little smudged, but I can't tell if it's just like the light.
Switch guys.
Like that kind of glare?
That's from the amount of lights that are there. I always keep
copy.
a cloth with me anyway, so
Okay.
just wipe it off
We've
just to
got
be certain.
some stuff going on. Calm down now.
We have 10 IR lights on this guy,
Jeez.
so.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure it wasn't
Yep.
like a...
The last one used to actually, it was in a waterproof box, so it would actually gain humidity. So we always had like watermarks on it.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
horrible.
That's so annoying.
I'm so glad I upgraded.
Yeah.
That thing has actually been pretty amazing the past 2 nights. And when I say I caught something with that the past 2 nights, I have definitive orbs, not like little bugs piling through.
Yeah.
I mean orbs.
We got
That's
one.
we got a
one
couple
bug.
of bugs.
We got
I got like
about
really
10
excited for a split second. I was like, oh.
Yeah, and they
Bug.
were definitive. I mean, when I say definitive, like change direction.
Oh,
they're
shit.
big, like they come down like this and then change.
Oh
Like,
my God.
Craziness. So yeah, welcome to the
Holy
party.
shit. Yeah. God, if I get an orb, I'm gonna cry. I'm so excited. Because it's the light, the glare from the lights. Yeah, do you remember when we were in Vegas in the REM pod? We were talking about one of the people's husbands, and she was like, "Yeah, he's a dumbass," and it like lit up, started lighting up.
I do.
It's really
Remember they
funny.
started reading the names of all the dead people
Yeah.
that had died just to get it. They kept that laser on the wall and never saw anything.
Yeah, I remember.
Somebody at the
We
table
talked to
got sick.
A few
remember?
people did. They had to leave. You and I
remember.
didn't, but everyone else kind of had to leave. But I remember, I think we talked to the ghost of Clark Gable. Remember?
Yes.
And so I started talking to him about film. And we were watching a movie in Turkish cinema, and they started talking about Clark Gable. So I texted Shelby. I was like, "Yeah, I think I met the ghost of Clark Gable one time."
You definitely did.
Yeah.
His, what was his, what? was
Carol
his-
Lombard.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I'm thirsty as fuck.
We can always seriously walk over to that Harris Teeter before we leave. I don't think it's too much far down.
Can you hold this? I need to put my hair back up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was like, your hair's up.
Yeah, it's falling. It should fall.
There's definitely like a glare.
Yeah, it's from the lights. We should still be able to see like shadows and oh,
Yeah,
that's my
no,
hand,
for
but-
sure. I totally saw.
Okay, yeah, see it like resets and starts recording.
Oh, I see that.
So that was
Yeah,
a
it
12-minute. Look at the stars. Okay.
I'm ready to go to another location. Liza.
I like the REM pod.
So, guys, I'm going to pull us all to the back over here, kind of get you guys in.
Maybe. Whenever I asked her Fred, she said maybe.
Yes or no question. Who are we missing? Where did they go? Heckler number 2.
Oh, we ever okay. Y'all heard anything?
Sure, you said they saw it.
Yours is the most fun. Those are we like those with the words. So much fun.
Yeah.
Note. Guard, heal,
Clockwise.
Paul, night, greet, classroom, infested.
Almost there. Turn. Wait, that's creepy or weird though. That is like turn and then almost there. They're at a church. Covenant. That's weird. They are. Are we at a church?
That looks like the Baptist.
Yeah, that bunch of Christian words. That's weird. Interesting. I want to see it. REM pod. This thing's fun.
Videos. We can go ahead and stop those. So your video stop is going to be the big red button on your right. So just go ahead and tap it. It should stop. So both video recorders point your cameras one way or the other. And of course, sometimes security will pass through. So of course, we'll just open it up. And just so you know, Ari, like that reading you're getting right now is coming from the building behind you because it's a steady reading. I consider that a rhythm or a pattern. So just so you guys know on that. Any names or words pop up on your list or spirit boxes? No names at all? Nothing. I know you guys were all chatty. All right. Any names pop up on your thing?
Kennedy.
Kennedy. Interesting. Let's go ahead and mute that for sure while we're in here, just because we don't want to disturb that. There you go. Just tap it once. There you go. Perfect. All right. So when we cross that last crosswalk coming down East Bay Street, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So you are now inside the original Charlestown, the walled city limits. This is one of the first streets we ever had inside those walls. This is Lodge Alley. It used to be called Simmons Alley. It's got a long history. But the reason I ask for names is because these two buildings weren't always here. People used to live down here. I have the full list of residents and their occupation of every person that's ever lived down here. The names I commonly get are Benjamin and John. I know, very common names. But when I say people live down here, I'm talking like 4 to 6 people at a time. Little tiny shotgun houses scattered throughout the alley. That's only 4 to 6 people. Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. Now, John is a very common name, so people would second guess that. We also get John's last name, which is Johnson. Yes, his name is John Johnson. So we get it quite often. About every 6 to 7 weeks, those two names will pop up in some way, shape, or form. We are right in the middle of that 6 to 7 week loop. So again, I've already had Ben and John and the name Simmons show up because this used to be called Simmons Alley. All show up this week already. So am I expecting more? I have no idea. I can only gauge when it's going to give me a roundabout of those specific names. Every once in a while, a third name will pop up. That name is Jane. Again, another name you don't hear very often today. So another person that lived here in 1801. I have no other significance about 1801 other than the names that keep coming up every 6 to 7 weeks. Here's why I think it's happening. You're standing on Belgian blocks. These bricks are made straight of granite. You guys all seem like you're into the paranormal in some way, shape, or form. You've heard the term limestone before. So limestone is said to stir things up because it comes straight from the earth. So does granite. Especially when it's been staying in the same place for a couple of 100 years, like these, it is said to hang on to the consciousness of memories and basically play them back. They call it the stone tape theory. So again, it's a theory. So can it be proven other than the fact they get the same names every 6 to 7 weeks? It really can. There's other things as, past 100 years of people trying to prove this theory, and it's very interesting. There's a long study about it. So, they did find some of these people's clothing and tools and their silverware when they did do an archaeological dig here, and they classified them as lower class. First off, I already said that they had shotgun houses, so that makes sense there. The other piece is that the other side of the wall would have been on the other side of East Bay Street of where we were walking. So the smell of low tide would be coming through here quite often. The rich of Charleston are not going to put up with that. So, again, if you've been down to the Battery, you probably noticed the houses are skinny in the front and they go long backwards. They're that way for a couple of reasons. First off, you were taxed based on how much street side you took. So, again, the skinnier your house, the less taxes you pay. We just left the Pinckney Mansion site where I showed you it was broad. They're the Pinckneys. They're politicians and indigo farmers. They have money. It was bragging rights to be able to show off their whole house. Not to mention they're outside the city walls. The other reason is those houses are skinny at the Batteries because it helps keep the smell of low tide out because we have piazzas. That's basically a front porch with a door. So basically the door helps to keep the smell of low tide from coming inside the home. You open up the second story, it allows the cool breeze to come in from the water, and cool air drops, heat rises. It's old school air conditioning. So again, those houses that you see angled down there are angled that way specifically on purpose for a reason. So again, when you're walking around town, you'll even see houses like that in neighborhoods in the middle of the peninsula. It's very interesting. So, let's see, before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, which is why it's called Lodge Alley. Now, of course, I get terms wrapped around the Freemasons, not very often, but I do get like Freemason, Mason, Brick, obviously has shown up, and the word Illuminati shows up from time to time. You got to chuckle whenever you hear it, because first off, I have two questions for you. Who the hell is saying the word Illuminati on the radio, and why are they talking about it? And second, why am I only hearing it when I'm in this space? So again, last year alone it came up 4 or 5 times, and I've already had it twice this year. So again, I have to keep track of this stuff because it's too odd of an anomaly to not keep track of. So again, very interesting space, and we are going to go through the whole alley. But the next space we're going to go to, and I stagger here on purpose just because again, we're not asking questions. It's all about the recordings at this point. The next space is another alley, but I can't take you all the way through it like what we're doing right now. Here's why. I've been kicked out. So you guys have the blinky lights and all your noisemakers. It is residential at the end. So again, you guys joined the annoying group. Good on you. So With that said, I still tell the story because it still stirs up quite a bit through the rest of our night. The story is pretty common around Charleston. I'm going to probably tell it to you if you've already heard it, been on another ghost tour. It's the Philadelphia Alley story with the duels that go on over there. We all tell the same story, but I tell a little bit differently because we're ghost hunting. You're going to get different clues out of me based on what I've seen in the past. We are going to get some footage when we get to to Philadelphia Alley. As we exit this alley, the 2 video cameras will stop your video, so you guys both know where your power buttons are by now, because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood. We don't record in neighborhoods, and we definitely keep our airborne spirit boxes on mute as we cut through to get to the next space. As far as the EMFs, we're probably still going to get some false positives, so again, kind of keep that in mind as we go through some of these neighborhoods, and we're going to be getting closer to those more popular areas with the 20 people ghost tours. So again, I stay out of their way because they're telling the story and moving on. We are not. We're actually going to be investigating each space. After that, we'll kind of go, I'll see what's going on with the spirit boxes, and that corner has like, has like 15 ghost stories on that corner. If you guys are giving me relative terms to the things I normally don't talk about, I'll tell you what those stories are. Otherwise, I'll go to my go-to stories, and then we're going to deep dive into a female pirate as kind of a big giant hurrah. Now that is a crazy-ass story, and I'll tell you more about that once we get to Philadelphia Alley, because part of the female pirate story started with Philadelphia Alley for me. Again, I've been booted out. It'll all make sense once we get there. Again, I love bringing you down here because you're in Charleston. You have to see some kind of cobblestone, but at least now you can realize when you're walking through stones like this, they have some history to them. They've been here for a long time. Late 1790s, I believe, that these were laid. So just imagine how many years of memories these are actually hanging on to. I'm sure you've noticed so far that I've taken you to spaces the other ghost tours that I've been to. We haven't seen one yet. That's why I always give that warning here. So again, have we heard anything since we've been here? Those of you with spirit boxes, we got to get you to listen in a little bit more. So those spirit boxes are not easy. So I am never surprised when somebody has a hard time with it. I'm asking these folks to do something with their hearing that they're not used to doing, and you're going to see that when you get that recording back tomorrow morning. It is not an easy task at all. My markers help a great deal because then we're like, oh, that's how he's listening to it. You have to be able to catch certain things. So again, it's not an easy task. So let's kind of see what happens. So let's go up to the next alley and see what we can capture. Again, don't forget to shut off your video as we exit. If in your case, if you want to be the last 2 out and turn your camera and with nobody down here and get us some footage just for 5-15 seconds, just so I can see if anything's going to be going on down here with the new camera. Now that I know everything's illuminated, the other one didn't do that. So I want to test it.
You want to do that? Yeah, I do.
Should I cut this on?
No, I think no. What is it? I don't know.
I'm gonna do it. Nobody's down there.
I feel like one of our camera operators, I'm like, that's what they do, they'd be like, ooh. No, we're not exiting the alley. Normally the camera operators, normally there's a dolly grip making sure the camera operator doesn't trip. Oh my god, we use so many drones. It's insane, kind of.
What do you use drones for?
I'm working on Outer Banks right now, the TV show.
Oh, nice.
And we've been doing a lot of drone work.
What do you do for them?
I'm a production assistant, so I
That's
do
good.
a lot of little things.
I used to do acting things.
Oh yeah?
In Seattle, yeah. I was on Twin Peaks,
Oh nice.
Last Scene in Idaho, some Netflix shows,
Mhm.
and I did some video recording for them because I was like bored, so I was like, why don't I just help run your camera?
Yeah, right.
And,
Why not?
just various other things, but yeah, because Seattle was like big for movies. Bigger
Yeah.
than most East Coast and Midwest places, so it was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah,
enjoy
it's
it?
so much fun. Oh yeah, I love it.
I got to meet Amanda Seyfried.
Oh, sick! I love
She's
it.
super short.
Is she really?
They're like, don't talk to her. And I'm just like,
Remember, people don't like to be filmed, so don't be the YouTuber out here. Yeah, you guys signed up for this. They did not. So, welcome to Philadelphia Alley. This place has a long history, and it is called Philadelphia Alley because we had to rename it after one of our cities that helped us after our many, many fires that I told you about earlier, right? So we named it after Philadelphia. That's also after dueling became illegal and stupid. So this used to be called Duelers Alley. We all tell the same story, like I said, so I'm going to get right into it because there's a lot of clues here. Now, we are going to end right around that next corner, so kind of keep in mind, we could get clues to this space. Yeah, we're going to hit 2 more spots after this, believe it or not. I've seen that look on your face. But we will get clues to this space through the rest of the evening. It happens pretty much on a nightly basis. So, there was a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name was Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because his fiancée Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks the doctor is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. So the doctor comes to Charleston to prove that he's not just after Amanda's cash. So the coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. Somebody walking by, his name was Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph for a moment because you guys were ghost hunting. Ralph Isaacs has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. RI shows up here a lot. When you guys gave me RF earlier, I was kind of like, I wonder. But anyway, so RI does show up. We just need that secondary clue so we know who it belongs to, which main character, basically. So Ralph says, dude, you don't want to stay here. There's a gunman inside. He's going to try to take all your money and kill you. So I have some friends at 59 Church Street where you can rent a room from some friends of mine and you'll be safe. So the doctor takes him up on the offer, and the two become friends. But the doctor's practice starts to take off. Apparently she's lost. So his practice takes off, which means he's making his own money now. He's proving his point. Amanda's moving down soon. What's that?
She's blocking the camera.
Oh. I don't know what she's doing. She's like all staring at us now, like, what's going on?
we should have all just approached the car slowly.
Like, are you our Uber?
Dave's too drunk to walk. We need to take him out of the car.
Because he's making so much more money now, the doctor becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. I want you all to know that every haunted city you will ever go to has a cliched whistling ghost. Ours is a doctor, just so you guys know. Now, him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. It's just kind of the way the hierarchy works back then. So he's got better seats. They talk about these plays on the way home. One night they go see William III from Shakespeare, and the doctor thought the new actress in town was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. They start arguing over this new actress. Then it gets really ugly when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways. Ralph is from Charleston. He has friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees this ad, and of course rebuttals with, let's go to Duelers Alley. We're going to settle this. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend, which is often what happened. He just wanted to show the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. However, Ralph has his one shot. Sorry, Tom. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor.
Oh.
The doctor doesn't die either, but Ralph proved his point. He's still angry, and he's not willing to forgive. The doctor's friends pick him up. They carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later, after refusing, medical treatment. He's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed it out himself. So here's the catch to this place. They say as you walk down this alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. I used to take my groups through there, as I mentioned. Do I have things I can't debunk? I do. They're in the background. I want you to keep in mind when you guys go down there by yourselves and turn on your voice recorders on your phones, every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night on my way back to my garage. So when my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. So again, keep that in mind if you're listening to your voice recorders. They also say you can hear gunshots when you're down there, but I don't have any proof of that. So again, that's part of the rumor mill. It is a very quiet space. You guys want to know how I got thrown out of this place? Because that's the fun part of this story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like, yes, I want to know. So this alley didn't always come all the way through. I told you, it's got a long history. So the other side, those bricks on the ground are older. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. We have one full handprint and fingerprint swipes in those bricks. I used to stop and show them off because it's a part of our history. It shows how far we've come. Everybody wants to put a spirit box or an EMF meter near it. treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife. I promise you that. We don't get activity from that brick. Since everybody likes to do that, it's outside of a gentleman's dining room window. On November 26, 2020, he had had enough. He come out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at. So, got a whole group of 8 or 9. The reason why I remember that date so specifically is because November 27th was Thanksgiving of that year. I did not have a tour. November 28th, I got a phone call the next morning from the tourism office. I'm the new guy on the block. They want me to either reroute my tour or go down halfway like everybody else. The reason we don't go down halfway is because I told you other groups of 20 will be down there. So 10 people trying to investigate a small space over 20 to 40 people is not fair to us or them. So again, I decided I'm going to reroute, and I'm going to take you guys up to where we're going to go and talk about this female pirate. I'm a vampire guy. I didn't even believe in this story. Before I even tell my folks what we're going to be talking about, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I didn't even mention the name Anne yet. We get there, I tell the story of what I know of Anne Bonny. Not much. Again, I'm not a pirate guy. Somebody else hears the number 300. I have no idea what it means. The next day I'm going through their data and researching it. Turns out we were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th, 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her trial. Well, god damn it, now I gotta research pirates, and I've read more books on pirates since that time. And again, there are so many holes in all of these stories around pirates that none of them truly make sense. What I will tell you tonight around Anne Bonny are basically the commonalities between multiple books. I took a ton of notes when I was reading all of these books to see what was going to be common. So when I piece this together for you and the things that we were getting on our spirit boxes and activity, it is definitely a hit or miss location. We either get a lot or nothing. So it is one or the other. I hate to end a tour that way, but again, it's an investigation. The ghosts aren't on the payroll anyway. I can't pay her to make stuff happen. So here's what's going to happen from here. We're going to go up and around the corner to St. Philip's Church. You guys are going to listen in on your spirit boxes. For those of you video recording, if you want to continue, by all means do so. If you want to stop and give your hands a break, you can do that as well. Whatever you guys hear along the way, tell me once we stop, and I'll kind of see what's relevant. Have we had any terms pop up?
Bones, Solution, Daryl, Connor.
Connor? Like as in a name Connor?
Yeah, the name Connor.
Names are always fun. I get to deep dive into that. That'll be cool. So we'll see what comes up out of Connor. Anything else that you guys been hearing? Any of you been listening to your spirit boxes?
That's my brother's middle name.
Anything out of yours? Okay. All right. Well, let's go see what goes up and around that corner. Let's see what you're going to have to bring them around to get to the cemetery behind me. So again, I like to point out the death gate across here. It does have a wrought iron gate on it, and it does stay locked all the time. But not many people know why that gate is actually there. Remember that there was a wall just past that would block people from going down to Cumberland Street. So again, I call it the death gate. So let's go ahead and have a seat. We're going to chill here for a few minutes. Give you guys a little break. So you guys came here to go to work, and here we are. I'm going to give you a little break. I'm going to keep it right there. You're in my way. Go sit down. Put the camera that way. All right, government building in South Carolina. So it held gunpowder for 7 different wars, including the Civil War. We talked about the original Charlestown Wall earlier. Where that parking garage sits now is where the wall stood. Up Cumberland Street, past the powder magazine, and started going south to my right or left towards the battery. So it brought the powder magazine into the corners of the walls on purpose. Looks like it's actually right. So you might actually have to kind of stay pretty tight over here. Coming out of the church.
There's a play.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard somebody saying.
Oh, down at Dock Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all that too. So the reason why it's locked into the corners is because we're 3 blocks away from the water, and it is the furthest way they could get away from the water so it can be kind of protected. So from Revolutionary warships and or pirate ships from the water. If it gets attacked by cannon coming all the way up here, it's going to have a hard time penetrating the 32-inch thick walls. So again, they're pretty thick in there. It's protecting gunpowder. We're going to pretend it goes all the way through and blows up the gunpowder. There's sand underneath those red shingles that you all see that's supposed to go up in the air with the explosion and fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. It's another great idea, but that doesn't work either. So we had another powder magazine closer to the battery. It did get attacked because our geography is much closer to the water. Sand went up, the building burned to the ground, it doesn't exist. This one's just never been attacked. It's now a museum. So if you ever need to get out of a heat or cold, because we do get those extremes, it's a great $5 to spend. I'm not a sponsor of them, I just love this place. So, we're here because this building took 10 years to build. That doesn't sound like our government, does it? 10 years, small building? So, our story begins right in the middle of it. So that's why we're here. This is a familiar building to the same time period that Anne Bonny was here in Charleston. It's kind of like using a toy to kind of attract a child ghost. You know, I call it a familiar. So with that said, 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far? There's a lot of weird twists in this. The three of them are running away from his wife. How angry was she? Just saying. So they land in Georgetown, just north of here. Dad buys the plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to be able to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. Now, back home in Ireland, Anne was kind of a badass already from the start. At the age of like 10 to 11 years old, they say she killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly. Just kind of keep that mentality of this young lady in your brain the whole story. So we're going to fast forward. This building is done in 1713. 1715, pirates are coming through town. So Anne's pretty stoked. She's probably 16, 17 years old at this time. She falls in love pretty quickly. Guy number one, his name is James Bonny. Yes, I said guy number one. There's going to be a couple. I'll keep tally. So James Bonny's a filthy pirate, and Dad just doesn't approve. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonny. You already see where this was going, right? Mm-hmm. So when they get there, this is not the swashbuckling Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for, that we all know and love. This guy's a privateer. He's a spy for the British. This is not who she wanted. He's a coward. So she falls in love again a few years later. Guy number two. His name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. Much cooler name, has his own ship. Yes, this is the character that Jack Sparrow is based off of. But Anne wants to be part of Jack's ship. We're going to refer to him as Jack and not John, by the way. There's too many J names for this story for you all to remember. That's my job.
Did she kill the first one?
She did not. She's still married. But she falls in love again. She remains Anne Bonny. We're going to talk about that too. Wow, you guys are really jumping the gun on me tonight. Mollie, you got to keep these guys in check. So, she wants to be part of this ship, but girls curse pirate ships. You cannot put a girl on a crew, so he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, part of the crew, you can hide yourself, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. He's the captain. That's how it's going to go down. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to hide her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm a pirate, let's go. Adults, let's put two and two together. Her being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure it out. He drops her off in Cuba. These are friends of mine. They'll help you out. Have the baby come back later. We'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. She's also dressed like a female. This makes Jack pretty angry. Jack just captured another pirate crew while she was away. They're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting because that's what Anne does. Guy number three. Guy number three turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. Yes, I practiced that in front of the mirror so I don't mess it up. So, with that said, I have two females now on this ship that are doing the exact same thing. Her name is Mary Reed. Now, her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we'll never know for certain, and she becomes part of the crew. However, the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only two pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their one-bullet flintlocks. They're gonna get taken. Let me just put that ahead of time. As they're being arrested by the British, Anne looks at her captain and beau, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." Obviously, dog being a prominent spirit box term here. The judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. He wants to see the two men that fought back so valiantly. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken crew that couldn't come up and fight. They're dead and gone. Two ladies go in front of him. They reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. He doesn't care. They're still females. They're still pirates. He's going to hang them anyway. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they said, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It is illegal. He sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still here in Charleston area. He has his Irish money. He bails out Anne. She comes back home. She remarries. Guy number four, husband number two, has 4 children, and dies at the age of 84. I know, all of my stories end abruptly with death, but that's what we do here. Mary Reed, she dies a year later in 1721. From whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. Sure, it was scurvious and bumpy and gross and whatever other thing you want to come up with. So, during this tale, I left out 2 facts on purpose, because at this point, everybody kind of knows, pretty well knows how they use your devices, but I left out 2 questions that you can get started with. I'm not going to give you a plethora of questions like what we did at the Pinky Mansion. I left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. I also left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents, purposely, so that way you guys can ask those. That would be the father and the mistress, not his wife. So that way you can ask Aunt Bonnie what her parents' names were or the name of Calico Jack's ship. I did tell you at the very beginning of the story that people have passed out. This story that I'm going to tell you, I'm going to need another minute of your time before we spread out, is relative to the story. Kind of like me getting kicked out of Philadelphia Alley. Same principle. So, back in September, I actually had a pretty full group. It's about 7 or 8 people. I take him to the back wall. The kid next to me goes white as a ghost. Yes, that pun was intended. And I start to pick him up by his armpits because he's about to drop like a wet noodle as soon as we enter the space. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side, and we bring him over to that little brick wall over there because there's a ledge where he can sit down. I send the boyfriend over with a few dollars to the vending machine for a bottle of water. He comes back. He's feeling better. I then tell the story. It's important to know I didn't tell the story yet. So I send everybody out to go play with their devices. And they pull me aside. Nick, we have to tell you something. We are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Ann and Mary on my tour, and it made complete sense as to why one of them about passed out the minute we entered the space. So take that for what it's worth. I'm a good writer, but I cannot make that kind of stuff up. It is just what it is. They are perfectly fine with me telling this story to my groups every single night because it kind of shows why I give that heated warning. I have had people, psychics particularly, pass out like wet noodles on this tour, usually from the Pinky Mansion site from the high EMF readings that we normally get. So again, it is one of those, it's legit. The first time somebody passed out, I was in CPR class the next day. I now carry a first aid kit with me the whole night. Like, I don't want anybody getting hurt, while they're spending time with me trying to have some fun. So we're going to explore the space. Video cameras, I do want you guys to go to the front of the building, which means you have to exit the lot and make a left. You're going to go to the front. Granted, there's no other tours there. You can point your lasers in the front lawn. Just be careful to keep them on the ground. These are apartments. By the way, pointing out earthquake bolts, this is another earthquake bolt. It's just more modern. They just don't work. It's just a part of our Charleston charm. You've probably seen them as lion heads, pineapples, and other stupid things we have around town. So again, I just wanted to point out because we're so close. But yeah, definitely point them lasers, get us some good footage. You're obviously recording. I can see your blinking light, which is awesome. This is that space I told you about the first night that I used that camera. That anomaly was unmistakable. So, and you guys, I don't hide any of your data. It all stays up on my website for an entire year. So be mindful. People are probably going to be coming out of that place since I've already seen a couple of tuxedos coming out. So just be mindful of moving vehicles. We're going to explore the space. If you want to go in the front, just don't interrupt the other tourists. Let them do their thing and move on because you're doing something way more important. You're having fun. They're listening. That's it. I'm putting you guys to work. All right, let's spread out. Let's have some fun. We're going to end over this wall. Yes, absolutely. We want that. So EMF readers, just so you know, this is not the Pinky Mansion site where you're going to get a lot of blips. It's a matter of your REM pod. If you get anything on yours, I'm excited. So definitely let me know what you're getting out of that. So, but yeah, definitely turn on your REM pod and have some fun with that.
They're in tuxedos.
But yeah, be mindful of all these other people trying to come in and out of here.
Literally before you said that,
So what do you think? I barely got to talk to you 2 all night. Everybody else has been keeping me really busy.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Before you even said like the thing about passing out, like I had a moment where I went out of it for a second.
She was like
in this space?
Yeah, like when we were standing right here, like for a second
you were
like
I
out of
feel
it
weird.
for a
I
teeny.
feel
Yeah,
weird.
we were
Something's
walking
wrong.
up and I was like, I started actually getting not like freaked out, but like a little freaked out, like as we were walking up to here, and that hasn't happened the whole time.
Back over there by that ivy wall, I normally stop back there because a lot of people, as they approach the building, they'll start to get those headaches. I probably hear somebody with a headache or a little bit of faint dizziness at least once a week.
Okay.
To be honest with you, so it's weird that I started up here tonight. It's just because the lot's so cool. I'm just trying to stay out of all the cars' ways, especially now that I know that they're going to be leaving at this point. They're just going to basically be interrupting us.
Yeah.
But how are you feeling now?
I'm good now.
Okay.
It's like weird.
Where do you want to go here?
You were pretty quiet tonight too, so.
I come for her.
I love ghost hunting.
I follow her on a lot of things.
So hopefully you found that at least, like I try to pertain to everybody. When I designed this, it was like I need the skeptics.
I'm on one end and she's totally on the other end.
Yeah.
Well,
but I do, and it's fine. So
with the whole like the data getting it back the next day thing, like I don't hide anything.
don't worry, she'll be all over it.
Well, I mean, it's more or less for the skeptics.
Yeah.
So when I get things that are so pertinent to
But I watch those TV programs.
the TV shows are bullshit. Like,
they're just fun. I love them.
They're
They're
just
just fun.
She's like, no, did you not see that? My ex-husband used to sit there and go, no, and I'm like, I could explain that 5 different ways.
Yeah.
So that's me.
I will tell you. So I separate the data by month. The good thing is we're on the last day of the month because the newest tour always goes at the top. So when you're going through the data, scroll down to the previous 2 investigations to watch that video.
Okay.
Yeah, she'll
the
be
first
all over
one,
it,
and I
don't
want to say on the 28th, unmistakable. I mean,
Okay.
unmistakable. So
We'll watch that
there's
tonight.
no way.
I mean, when we were little, I used to give them cameras, and they would sit just for hours and take pictures, and we'd come home, and they'd analyze them all.
And if
see
something's
things.
vague, I'm the first one to say it. Like
Yeah,
if it's
yeah.
a stretch, I'm like, yeah, no, sorry, that's too much. I need definitive. I need
Yeah.
a specific number. I need a specific date.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm all over the very specifics. Close enough is not close enough.
Yeah.
So again, it has to be like definitive in order for you guys to actually have a confirmed piece. Again, I probably have more hours in doing this than your TV show hosts, all the crap guys you guys are watching.
Well,
And I watch them for, like me and my
Yeah.
daughter watch
They're
them just
fun.
well, they are
how
fun.
old's your daughter?
My youngest is 15.
Okay.
So, you know, a lot of
That's
times
fun.
we'll watch that stuff just because they might have a newer device that I'm
Yeah.
looking at.
Yeah.
How are they using it? We'll use it for different types of methods.
Or they'll go to some cool new place, and then you're
Yeah.
like,
I don't like the spaces.
Really?
Again, I like to go into places that aren't deemed haunted yet, which is why I do what I do.
Yeah.
So, do I go to, like, I just did an investigation last year in the St. Augustine Lighthouse. Obviously, that's a beacon for paranormal activity.
Yeah.
But it was a PR deal because I was doing it with 2 other podcasts. They invited me down.
Oh, very
So
cool.
St. Augustine, Savannah, and Charleston
Yeah.
were all in line. So if people are visiting St. Augustine, they're probably going to come up here for a tour. And I
And
have
Savannah.
seen some of those, you know,
Yeah.
overflow because I, of course, went branded. You know, people were using my gear. You know, I wasn't charging anything. It was whatever. And plus, I gave all the data back. Like, it was the same principle.
Yeah.
We
So-
took a once
We went
in
to
the middle of the
Savannah.
night. I took my 2 small children into a graveyard in Savannah, literally in the middle of the night, with a Ouija board. They wanted to do that. So yeah, I'm that mom. I'll take them anywhere,
Yeah.
wherever they want to go.
Well, the Savannah graveyards, like from what I understand, like they're pretty
What
active.
was the comet?
They were
What was it?
Tomachichi.
Yeah, it was some
Well, so
Indian.
yeah, we didn't get much with that. But like me and Han have gotten stuff from the Ouija board before. Like we used to do the Ouija board with our friends all the time, and we had like windows slam, stuff move, like. But
And I use all that stuff too. I just
Yeah.
don't bring it to the tours.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I want everything to be measured. So
Yeah.
you can't measure a Ouija board. You can't
No,
measure
she
dowsing
loves-
rods.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
we
we've
just
been,
love-
we've used dowsing rods.
yeah,
We've
But-
used
Oh,
the
man.
grid before.
I
the-
don't
Oh, so that was familiar when I handed
Yes,
it over.
yes.
Perfect.
yeah. I'm still like, I'm more. I don't even know. Like
Well,
just
I'm
the
holding you
space.
guys up, so go check out.
No,
the
no,
lodge.
you're good.
Okay, where
Yeah,
you wanna
this-
go? You
I
wanna
don't-
go back that way?
Where'd you say to go?
So
to
you'll
camera?
exit the lot and then
Okay.
go
Okay.
left. If there's another tour in front telling their story, just wait your turn.
Okay.
But don't go past the powder magazine. Some people try. There's a neighbor up there.
Gotcha.
So we don't want to go
Okay,
too close to
not
him.
passing.
What do we got
I'm
going?
telling you, this something about this space. Like, it's not even like my heart is racing, but I feel like it is. So we gotta go out and around. I don't even know how to do. Like, I feel like I'm on caffeine here.
You're buzzing.
Yeah, but it's weird because I'm not even moving. It's just like a feeling. Yeah. Oh, this is sick. Gosh.
I mean, it's a great concept, right? Put sand under the roof.
That sounds like some bullshit that I would think of it like if you're doing a group project or something and you're like, if you're doing like a group project, like Colonial Civics project.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
sounds like Ben would get, like, it's such an engineering.
Oh, yeah.
Here, can I do this?
Yeah.
I don't know if that really works. Oh wow. I thought I saw something like that
Really?
on the screen now.
Oh.
Like right like
That's
it's
cute.
back here somewhere.
Gosh, that's weird, because usually when all the ghost stores we've been on, like, I've only ever really gotten, like, photos. Like, it's weird, like, when I've been with Sarah and Hannah, both of them have, like, gotten touched before, and I've never gotten touched, but I've only gotten photos. But that was, like, a really weird feeling. I've never really gotten that, like... And I kind of got, like, a little headache, but I think that was just from empty
Wanting some
hydrating.
water?
Yeah. I've been very dehydrated. My contacts looking up, like... Is there anyone here with us that would like to show themselves?
Hey, you'd like Anne Bonnie to show
I
her
would
ass.
cry. That'd be badass. Oh, that'd be awesome. Is Anne Bonnie here?
Takes one to know one. Bitches, come out.
Bring your way. Oh, we can move.
You're good.
Okay.
And then this is the building that I mentioned at the beginning of the tour. This is the original gunpowder ware, built in 1713. Remember, this is the one I told you
That'd be
they
so
thought
sick
was too close
to
to
meet the
other
ghost of
things,
Anne Bonnie.
like the Debbie's house. So they built a new one that was further away, and that one blew up, and that's where the jail is. This one survived. It's now open as a museum. So I actually researched that because I was curious about that. That's a replica, obviously, but historically we did have those, but they weren't here. They were where the park is, where we started. And I always thought that was like the easy part, you know, because they didn't have jails. They had, you know, all the punishments were sort of administered on the spot. So this was like the lowest rank rung of punishment. You know, once you got past here, you know, the branding, flipping mirrors.
I wish I had a sword to offer her as a trigger object.
You have one on your body.
Oh my god, I do have a sword tattoo.
But there was a missionary that was complaining about
All
how
these people in
brutal,
there. Look at
Lifted
that.
it.
these things were. So maybe there was some element to it.
God, I have a sword.
You do.
Certainly couldn't be good for your back if they left it.
Anne Bonnie, to walk around with a sword
Our
in your
final
hip,
story
'cause I do
tonight,
too.
we're going to head to that big church right there, St. Philip. Excuse me.
Sorry. There's a bug.
Do you want a
A
bug?
little bug just flew by. Okay. And Bonnie, I carry a sword on my hip too.
Do what?
I'm telling her that I carry a sword on my hip. I don't know if she carried one on her hip. I'm assuming she would have to. Fire.
Telling a story, I'm thinking to myself, if you're dressed like a boy, but I'm demanding that you stay in the captain's quarters, would people not think?
Oh,
that?
right.
They had to have known.
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, we're just friends,
Yeah, right. I'm just letting this very small man.
Yeah. Have y'all been getting anything?
Hmm?
Have y'all been getting anything?
some weird things, but nothing too weird, I don't think.
Okay. We have our group members walking over by.
Oldest public building.
We have people walking over by the stacks. Yeah, they have a millimeter and a spirit box, I think. Oh, yeah.
Anything down there? Where is everybody?
No.
No.
Oh, I thought we were supposed to meet here.
We're underway in Boston.
Let's go to the parking lot. I'm gonna go to that,
The Ivy Wall.
oh yeah.
All quiet in there. Called the Powder Magazine.
Ah. Oh, just when we walked in, it was like I was fine, and then all of a sudden, as soon as we walked in, yeah, it's like a total shift.
Am I poking you?
What do you
Let's head over this way so we're not in the way of others.
Decent amount of acreage. Yeah, you can look it up online. It's really nice.
You can just send me links and all that.
Yeah, here you go.
Alright, so I'm very excited
That's a very
about
clear
a
yellow.
couple of things. So first off, we have the word dog that showed up on the SB11, so I'm pretty stoked about that. That's often heard here. We did get some on-command touches on the REM pod, direct to color. So asking for purple, it went to purple, and then a couple of greens along the same time. So the purple that we first saw was, I mean, it was strong.
Yeah,
And it
I
was
mean, I
steady.
recited it like 2 or 3 times and it stayed
Yeah,
on purple.
so I was pretty stoked about that. Did we get anything on your spirit box, April?
We asked several times like what happened to Anne's baby, and we didn't get anything. But like 5 times into it,
we got Jesus.
After baby boy.
Yeah, we got baby boy, and then we got Jesus.
I like baby boy. That's pretty cool too. Again, I can't prove it, but again, there's holes in the story. So, but you got a direct answer. As far as hearing Jesus or any kind of other religious term around here, we get them often around St. Philip's. All the time. They usually start as we're rounding the corner from Philadelphia Alley is when they start. I usually get at least 1 to 3 pretty much on a nightly basis. So I'm not surprised by that, but I will be writing down baby boy.
We had asked what happened to the baby. That's when I heard Jesus.
Yeah.
Basically passing away maybe.
Yep. She
Interesting.
heard violins.
Yeah, the
On
first,
hers. I didn't hear violins on mine.
I heard like violin music twice, the same going around, and no real answer. And then the third time, it was what happened to your baby, and then it was Jesus.
And then we also both heard a song that we listened to that's meaningful to us played within a millisecond of each other.
And he was standing away from me. He heard it on his, and I heard it on mine. We heard it at the same time.
She's kind of laughing.
Yeah. That actually happened 2 nights ago here too.
Really?
Yeah. Somebody, it was their wedding song, and the husband wasn't here. He's still alive, he just wasn't on the tour. But she heard their wedding song, and I guess it's some, it's a country song, so I didn't recognize it. But again, it was very prominent to her only. So I was like, maybe somebody's trying to tell you that they're here, that you brought with you a loved one, and they just want to let you know that they were watching over you. So it's one of those pieces. I can't prove it, it's only on them. So whatever you guys heard, it's obviously an experience to you. Yeah, or what's going on with that.
Yeah, I'm standing still. Everything's just going.
Alright, so what I like to do first, obviously, show you the mugshot. So I like to point out that this is one of the few pictures I could find of Anne Bonny where she has a shirt on. Reason being, because she used to bare her breast to show the men she killed that they were just killed by a woman.
Hell yeah.
So I also like this picture because it shows off the flintlock guns. I'm infatuated with the flintlock because it is actually
Yeah, she would do that.
I don't
She
like
and,
guns in general. I'm not a
Reed
gun person.
still
The
good bros.
flintlock, the ornateness of it, like
I love that. Every time I fuck someone, I remember to flash them right after. Oh yeah.
Pirates, of course, is a pretty big deal too.
It is.
The name of Anne Bonny's parents, William Cormac, Mary Brennan. You guys were not expecting a secondary Mary, which is why I throw that question at you. So again, none of you came up with those. What's funny is if I hand the spirit boxes to teenagers, the teenagers usually get both names, like from the same spirit box.
You got William on here.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well,
That's pretty badass. Like, I'm stoked about that. So did anybody ask what the parents' names were?
Yeah, we did a bunch.
We didn't
We
get
did nothing.
Well, there's your answer right there, depending on when it showed up. I will also tell you, like, the name Eliza showed up here, and Washington. I find it uncanny, first off, because I feel like we're too far away from the space, but I will tell you that Charles Pinckney, the husband, is buried across the street. So, it's very stretchy. I'm just going to put it out there. But again, to me, like, I'm not a person that believes in coincidences or loud beeping horns. Thank you. Wow.
oh my god.
listening.
Oh, damn it.
We're trying to find out what the car is. Oh, stupidity.
It's called I'm Too Drunk to Find My Car. So it's Teenager Where's Waldo.
Calico Jack. Let's get into him. Calico Jack, this is the only photograph I could find of him that seems to be fairly accurate. He was dubbed Calico Jack because of the jackets he wore. They came from the men he killed, mainly British. So again, he was a young, filthy, dapper pirate. But again, somebody filled in this picture with color, probably about 2 decades ago, which kind of helps us see it a little bit better. So again, that's why he's called Calico Jack. The name of his ship, the Kingston. Do I expect Kingston to come through a spirit box? No, I do not. I expect the word king. That would suffice in this location, which we've gotten several times in the past.
Cheers to that.
The name Jack often shows up here, and the SB11 keeps giving me the name David here. Pretty much at least once a week since I got it. So I can't find a David pirate that would be relevant to the story or anything related to
things
the
tell me
Blackbeard,
battery's
so
dying, so.
it is what it is. Oh, other fact that REM pod is actually dying in battery. That was a brand new battery, rechargeable. I pull them off the charger before I leave. So again, the fact that it's dying, it should last for at least another hour and a half.
I feel fine now.
But it is not. It is dying.
As we walked up, I started getting
Very
like
interesting.
really antsy, like
So, this was
My
probably
friend's
a little bit more
husband
active
went to,
that
like,
we caught in real time
his
versus the
friend
Pinckney
who
Mansion
was
sites where we didn't really capture much at all other than the term fire. I do like the conversation the two of you were having over there in the front, and then of course the word dog. Like, I'm always excited about the word dog showing up here. I just think it's fun because that's her warning to Calico Jack. So we'll kind of see what goes on when I go through your data. Again, it stays up there for an entire year. Luckily for you, today's the last day of the month, which means I always put the newest tour at that month's page at the top, so you don't have to scroll down any further. However, if you want to see the evidence from the brand new camera that Eliana's using, you want to scroll down to the previous 2 investigations. I put the video up there with the markers and still shots, so you can actually see what came out of there. As far as my website to review it, they're easily downloadable. The videos will both go to YouTube. That way you can save them there, and then all of the audio pieces will be in MP3 format, and of course you can just copy and paste my notes with all of the markers in them that are relative to each piece of media. Not to mention all of the links that will be scattered and sprinkled about. I haven't even looked at the regular audio because I don't look at a tour and say, oh my god, we're 2 hours is up. We're probably already over that. I don't care. So I'm going to stop the audio. It'll kind of give me a gist of how much media you're actually going to get back. And again, you're going to have a long work day ahead of you. Cristina already admitted that she was not expecting this much work. I'm going to give you even more. So as soon as it wants to connect. As I collect the devices, you guys can ask me a million questions if you'd like. And then I will obviously direct you guys where to go.
It might be because I was moving.
I know, right?
Do we know anything about Mary?
2 hours and 14 minutes has came out of this. So you are definitely going to have about 8.5 to 9 hours worth of recorded data. So I'm going to stop this audio. As far as Mary goes, she is an English pirate. She actually has a very similar history to Anne Bonny. So she is the daughter of a mistress. So she basically ran away trying to find her freedom. So I know much in between, not much, other than the fact that she has a very similar story of how their parents, with the mistress kind of thing was. I know more about Anne Bonny than I do about Mary Read. There's more written about Anne, of course. All right, so I'm going to start collecting, and you guys can still ask me questions. I'm going to start with the Phasm cameras. Eliana, you're first. I can take